Hi, welcome back. This is part 3, and I'm still reading the Declaration of Independence, but the ending now, the closing part, closing arguments. And it goes like this. In every stage of the oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble of terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. And this is true. I have repeatedly tried to let the powers know what's going on, from contacting the exact political parties to the powers in the governments of the states and of the federal government. And then I have also, in previous times, addressed all the states and the territories. And even have I reached out to overseas warring factors, such as I reached out to Zelensky and Putin and Netanyahu and the Iranian leader, Khomeini. So I have done my best to bring peace, to settle the oppression that we have going on from the Democrats and Republicans. And I've done it humbly, and I've done it not so humbly because I had to. And I am getting results, but still there's oppression. Still there's injury. And this is unacceptable. So, a prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. So, so a rich man whose character is thus marked, or a spoiled party who thinks that they're entitled to the power that they have, define tyrants. It can be one person, or it can be an organization like the Democrats or the Republicans or the Zionists. And this is how an atheist sees this. We're trying to fulfill prophecy from a religious book by creating Israel in the first place. And because we were coming off of a war, there were so many people that probably maybe were atheists before, but going into war turned towards God. So then when our country started going through this God embracement, Zionism took over and Israel was created. So I think, we have to we got to remove God from our government. We're supposed to have it separate. And in the 50s, late 40s, 50s, it got put in, and it's unacceptable. So, nor have we been wanting in attention to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time at attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to our native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these violations and greed which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. So, trying to be represented in government in England is, I believe, what they're trying to say there. But they're not getting that. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. I guess that's equality. I'm not sure what that word means. We must therefore acquiesce into necessity, which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. So yes, men are really not listening to women, and this is unacceptable. And I hate to say that we're enemies, but there are quite a few men that deserve to be considered enemies. And, too many women in peacetime are being killed and tortured in the home by their male companions. And this is also unacceptable. So when we're at peace, we should be friends. It says right here. So, and we should be heard, and people should be working with us and for us. It should not be that a mother has to wait online with a drug addict to get her checks or to handle her government business. Being a mother is a respectable career, and it is unaccepted that it's on the welfare list. So welfare is for really when you're down and out. Motherhood is not being down and out. And yeah. So, we therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions. So, Supreme Judge, I suppose that means God, so imaginary friend, or whatever. It is true. Like, who do we, when we're talking about our own government, we're at the top. So who do we ask for even more power from? That is a good question. So I don't know if I would put Supreme Judge, but maybe, I don't know. The universe, perhaps, but yeah. Of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, due in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that the United Colonies are, and of the right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that the political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. So this is where we are. I think it is absolutely possible that women become separate from men in the United States. It is appalling. In 249 years, we have only reached so high of a level, even though we've been U.S. citizens this whole time. Men have kept us down and out, refusing to hear our worries and our concerns, and go behind our backs to even cause us to have injury and violations by not paying us full salaries, not giving us land rights. You know, we are the final slaves, the women, especially the mothers, are the final slaves. And it is time to pay them for their important contribution to our society. It is time to give them education so they can do their job the way they should, and give them the tools necessary, like a community center where they can hold conferences and group activities and bring the children together and the families together to do things in the community like mothers usually do. So it is time for the states and the counties and the towns to work with women, with the mothers, with the will to bring good, spirited life to our country. It is time for us to totally dissolve the ties. So being a mother does not mean you have to be a wife. Being a wife is something completely separate. You can be a wife and you can be a mother, but you don't even have to be them to the same person or at the same time. You can choose to be a mother first and a wife later. These are jobs. And apparently now there are robots being built where men can go in and say, well, you know, I want a redhead with a double D breast, and, you know, but yet women who are prostitutes are jailed because they're selling their bodies. So it just proves that men want to make money off of women no matter how. They don't care. Men want everything their way. They don't care. And women have no rights to even their own body, to sell it, to do what they want with it. Men have just taken away all of those rights. And it's unacceptable. Prostitution should be legal. It's a career. It's a job. There should be training. It's a mental health job. And there needs to be benefits. Also for motherhood, there's benefits. And also for grandmahood, there's benefits. And so, you know, this is just unacceptable how we've got CIA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, we got Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all these men, macho things, and we have nothing, zero for women and femininity. Nothing. You want to know what's wrong with our country? Just think about what I said. Write it down. Write down what I just said and think about it. And that as free and independent states, we have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may have the right to do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, whatever that means. I know it means God. So imaginary person, so protection, with a firm reliance on the protection of imaginary people, we mutually pledge to each other our life, fortunes, and sacred honor. Okay, so whenever you bring in God into these documents, it's just like suddenly there's fairy tales involved. You know, the fairies are there, and you got to stop that. Because, it sounds really good until we get to these moments, and it's like, what? But yes, I think it's up to women, and it's our right to lead ourselves in our own way. You have failed us continuously, and now you're even giving more money to the military industrial complex, and I say shame on you, men of the United States. You are not leaders, you are cowards. You are greedy bastards, is what you are. Shame on you. There will be consequences. So I declare women's independence from male rule. Women rule women, not men. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. So that is the original declaration. And, a lot of it rings true now. We've got taxation without representation. My vote was thrown out, as well as many other women's votes were thrown out. So far, I don't really think I've heard of a man who said his vote was thrown out. So, I don't know. Maybe FBI, CIA, why don't you look into that rather than bothering with other things? I mutually pledge to all of us our lives, my fortune, and our honor as women. I'm doing what I can. But, the more I scratch the surface of the rules and regulations in our country and the history and everything, I am disgusted. We are treated as slaves and certainly second-class citizens, and it's unacceptable. And sadly, there are even women who are helping this along because they don't know that they have a choice. So, yeah. I don't know what the next steps are, except that I will be writing my grievances and getting them out to the important people. And I hope that the Supreme Court acts on my lawsuit. That's all I can do at the moment. I'm doing my best. I am, at this moment, only one. If people want to join in and help out, I would love that and be very grateful. So let's see what we can do. But we need a new government, a new way of ruling. Having only men in office is not serving all of our people. And although the men in office are all seemingly God-fearing men, they want us to go back to slavery, ladies, and this is unacceptable. I will not be a slave. I am not property. I am my own person. I have my own brain, and I do my own life. And it has nothing to do with any male out there. And I highly recommend you do that too. Stand on your own 2 feet, everyone. You owe it to yourself and to your family and to your children. Okay, so that's the end of part 3, and there will be a part 4. I don't know. I have lots of things I want to talk to you about, so maybe I just keep going, or maybe at some point I'll start a whole new concept. Let's see. Okay, thank you for stopping by. Until next video. Bye for now.